Hey there, Stampers. Happy Friday. Welcome to this week's live. My name is Sherry Roth. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Alberta, Canada. And today we're going to talk about scraps. So I'm just updating my iPad here. Bear with me. Okay. All right, and we are a little crooked. Let's see if we can fix that. Okay, that's a little bit better. All right, so this year I have decided to come up with some creative ways to use my scraps. If you've been following me for a little while, you know that I don't like to throw a ton of stuff out. I like to use up those scraps. And so I thought that that would be a perfect year-long series. So hopefully you'll subscribe and join me as I go through. Every month I will do at least one video and possibly some additional blog posts where I share creative ways to use your scraps. So today specifically, we're going to talk about those strips of cardstock that you have in your paper packages. So yesterday over on my Facebook page, my Stamped Treasures Facebook page, I shared a quick video of how I store my cardstock scraps, my patterned paper scraps, current Stampin' Up! Product, and then my non-current and non-Stampin' Up! Product as well. So you can check that out. But let me just give you a quick recap of how I store my scraps. Okay, so because I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and I use mostly current product, Stampin' Up's paper packages come in a cello bag like this, and it's got the name of the paper on the back with the coordinating colors, so I always like to keep that. So all I do is I slit the top, and then I keep all of the papers, including the scraps, in here. And then when I go to use that paper pack, I always go to the scraps first, and then if I need to, I will cut into a full sheet. So that's how I store my current paper, pattern paper. All right, so like I said, today we're working with strips. So I'm going to start, we are going to use that Be Mine DSP, but we're going to start by using this Flight and Airy DSP, which is my current favorite patterned paper. And I just realized that I am missing a piece of white. Okay, I'm going to need to grab a piece of white here. So we're using this Flight and Airy patterned paper, which is a celebration offering. It's free with a $60 purchase. Bear with me for just a second here. Okay. All right. And I've cut some strips of patterns, and I've chosen kind of patterns that would kind of work together. So I can't remember which patterns I'm using now. I had them all. Okay, here we go. So I wanted this brown one. I wanted a pattern with the birds in it with a little bit of brown. And then I have a little scrap of this Lost Lagoon. And then I think I wanted to throw in a little bit of pink. And I've got different sizes of the different patterns. Okay, so I think those are the pieces that we're going to use. Hopefully there's enough there. So I have anywhere from 1/4 of an inch all the way up to, I think, about 3/4 of an inch. You could do all the way up to an inch if you want. You could even do thicker. There's no rules for this, but you just want a variety of widths, okay? And lengths as well. You do want some longer pieces. And I need to cut this down. Okay, so this is going to be the base where I create my background. So I'm going to make this 3 3/4 by 5, and I'm using a piece of white cardstock. You could also use just a piece of like copy paper, like scrap paper. It doesn't have to be cardstock. All right, I'm going to pull in my silicone mat because I find it helpful. If you've got the glass mat, you can just use it right on the glass mat because the adhesive will wipe up. But I like to have my silicone mat underneath. And I'm going to use seal adhesive for this. So again, you can use multi-purpose glue, but I feel like sometimes I want to reposition things. And so with this, the roll-on adhesive, I have a little bit more flexibility. Okay, so I'm going to start with this piece, this brown piece, and I'm going to put strip of adhesive across, and we're just going to create kind of a fun background. Actually, you know why I don't have this cut is because I started this. This is why. Okay, I was pretty sure I had a piece. All right, so I just started with this strip of brown, put it across, and then I did another layer, a different pattern, and I'm kind of varying the sizes. Let's see, let's use, so you are restricted. If you have smaller pieces, you kind of have to strategically place them. Here we go, we'll use this one. Make sure that they're long enough to go all the way across. And you can see that they're hanging off the edge. That's okay. We're going to trim those down. Okay, now is this long enough? Not quite. Let's use this strip of brown. So, and I am leaving a gap in between. So I've got probably about a 1/16 of an inch gap in between. You do not need to do that. You can butt them right up against each other. So I'm just creating this fun background. Let's use a piece of this. And what you do with this background, it can be a background for your card, or you can turn around and you could die cut it and use it. Okay, let's see, do we have enough brown? I might repeat that brown. Up here, let's trim this off. So once you're done, you can just trim off those excess pieces. But like I always say, don't throw anything away until you're finished crafting with that product, because you never know when you might be able to use it. So I'm going to share how I'm going to use some of these other scraps in a little bit. All right. So we've got that, we've covered our white cardstock, so now we can finish trimming off the excess. You can use your paper trimmer for this or your snips. So all of these ideas today are perfect for all of those leftover strips of pattern paper that you have. This needs a little bit more adhesive. And even if you've got wider pieces, you can still trim them down. Okay, these pieces I probably wouldn't keep. But I do have another idea on how to use some of these smaller bits and pieces that you have, but we'll save that for a different month. Okay. So just a little tip, if you do plan on die cutting this, so once you've got your background created and you plan on die cutting it, you will want to make sure that you have quite a bit of adhesive. So you put adhesive all the way across, because when you die cut it, if a piece ends up just a tiny little piece, it will fall off if there's not enough adhesive on there. So just a little tip for you. Okay, so we've got this, oh, and it goes this way so we don't have our birds upside down. And this piece is going to get adhered to a piece of pecan pie cardstock that is just a little bit wider and taller. So I believe it measures, I don't have my measurements handy, but I think it's 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. But look how fun of a background that is. So pretty. And then that's going to go onto our white card base. So, and I always like to use our thick white card stock for card bases because it is a little bit heavier and just holds up to the weight of whatever you're adding to your card front. That's going to go on there like that so that we have a nice even border. And then I've got 2 circles here. I've got a vellum circle that measures 2 3/8, and then this circle was cut using the Stylish Shapes dies. I believe it was the 1, 2, 3, 4th smallest that I've cut. Excuse me. And I'm using a greeting from another celebration offering. I'm going to turn this into a Mother's Day card. So there's this Happy Mother's Day from the Heartfelt Heartfelt Hellos stamp set, which is free with a $60 purchase until the end of February. And we're going to use our Stampin' Write markers. So I pulled out two colors. I've got Lost Lagoon and Pecan Pie. So again, I pulled out those colors right from the colors in the pattern paper. It's one of the things I love about Stampin' Up! Is the coordination, how everything coordinates. We've got the same color cardstock as what's in the pattern paper. We've got the same color ink. Okay, so we're going to use the brush tip. Now these are our Stampin' Write markers. These are water-based markers, so you can use them right on your stamps. We also carry an alcohol-based marker called Stampin' Blends. Those ones you cannot use on your stamps. So I'm just using the brush tip, and I'm using the side of it and just kind of adding that ink on there. And then I'm going to take my Pecan Pie. Okay, my Pecan Pie, and I'm going to ink up the other two letters, so the block letters. And I'm hoping this is going to fit on this circle. Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. We're working with scraps today. Okay, I'm gonna flip that over so it's the right side. I'm just gonna give that a huff so it re-moistens it. And I'm gonna stamp that right on here. And now we've got a two-toned greeting. This is gonna get added on here, and then this on here. I did also fussy cut some birds from here, which we might add. That might be cute on there. But I think I want to add a little bit of ribbon. Now I didn't pull out any ribbon, but let's see what I've got here. Thinking this might be a nice selection. Maybe we'll do just a little bit coming out this way. I have another sample to share with you, but it's a little bit different. You know what, we're gonna do this, but we're gonna use some white twine. Oh, there we go. Okay, we're gonna use some white twine. We're gonna cut just a little piece of this. This is some silver edged sheer ribbon. And I'm just going to fold it in half and then wrap my twine around and tie a bow. Now somebody actually left me a comment on my on one of my recent videos saying that if you wrap, I think this is what she meant, if you wrap this around twice, so I wrapped it around once, I'm going to do it a second time, then it will actually hold, so you don't need to hold it with your finger. It will hold on its own. So you don't need to juggle all those things. I think that's what she meant. Okay, it seems to be holding actually quite nicely. Because last time I did this, I struggled to kind of hold it in place. And it's always more difficult when you're filming. You know that you're being recorded. Well, that worked out well. Okay, that was much easier than trying to hold that knot. Okay, it's a little twisted here, but we will make do. Okay. So we've got that, and I think I'm gonna tuck this end under and have that ribbon. I'll trim those ends just a little bit. I'm gonna try to pull this down a little bit. Okay, so we're gonna add some adhesive to the back of this. We'll adhere this one flat. We'll put it right in the corner there, and then I'm gonna add a little bit more adhesive. And I'll stick my ribbon down, and then this is going to go on using some dimensionals. And I'm going to put my dimensionals on here so that I can avoid the ribbon. And then we'll stick our greeting on top. I want to move my bow out of the way so I don't cover it over. And I'm going to center that and also make sure that my words are straight. There we go. We can trim the ends of our ribbon just a little bit, make them a little bit shorter, and the ends of our twine. I think that one's good. Let's just trim this one. There we go. All right, and then let's see if we can add this bird. Thinking this bird would be really cute right there. Let's do that. Oh, wrong side. We'll put a dimensional off to the side because we're going to have it overlapping just a little bit. I don't want to cover up my words. Oh, I like it over here. So just like that. And then we can add some embellishments, which I also didn't pull any of those out. So let's see what we've got. We've got these, oh, we'll use these ones. I love these Tinsel Gems, the 3-pack with this particular pattern paper because all the colors work beautifully. And my paper piercing tool, and I think we'll use the Fresh Freesia ones. We'll just add 3 of those on there, and we've got this beautiful Mother's Day card. Set that aside. Okay, and then we still have all these strips left. So some of these we can use to decorate the inside. So I'm just going to open this up and we're going to use a few of these. Let's use this one. And we're going to create or add a little bit of pattern on the inside of our card. We'll use this one. Let's see. We don't really have any of the brown left. We could add this color. Did I use all that brown? I must have. Okay, well, we'll use this one on the inside. We'll do that, and then we'll flip it over, trim off the excess. And we've got a little bit of that pattern repeated on the inside. So there is one idea for using those strips. Let me just get rid of some of these scraps here, and I'll share a couple more ideas with you, and then we're gonna do something different. Okay, so here is the same card, same layout, just I used a different suite. So I used the Just Kidding or Kidding Around DSP, so scraps of that pattern paper. So lots of bright, fun patterns. She is also cut from that patterned paper. I kept the layout pretty much the same. And then I had scraps, and look at that. I decorated the envelope flap using the same idea. Isn't that fun? And then on the inside of this one, I added some extra pieces as well. So if you have lots of those strips left over, this is a great way to use your scraps. All right. So that is just a simple way to create a background. Again, to easily alter it, you could adjust the size, you could die cut pieces from this. I meant to do a sample with something that is die cut, but I just didn't get around to it. The other thing that you can do is you can use embossed pieces of cardstock as well. So oftentimes I will, when I'm designing a card, I'll create something, I'll think I want it embossed, and then I go to emboss it, and then I don't end up using it, but I don't want to get rid of that paper because, I mean, it's perfectly good paper, right? So it just goes into my scrap bin. So if you've got some if you've got paper scraps that are embossed, you can mix those in with patterned paper and do the same kind of technique. So here, I just used one pattern, and then I took 2 coordinating colors of cardstock where I had scraps. This one is, the peacock is embossed with the painted texture embossing folder, And the pool party is embossed using one of the Basics 3D embossing folders. And then I just embellished it on top. And to embellish this one, I used a fun new stamp set called Love This Moment. And this is a great one. If you are a scrapbooker, this is a fabulous stamp set. But not only is it great for scrapbooking, you can also use it for card making as well. So I used this image here and just stamped it multiple times to create my own pattern paper on the circle behind. Added a little bit of vellum, stamped happy, and then fussy cut that. And then on the inside, again, I had a scrap left of both the embossed cardstock, because that's embossed, and then the strip of DSP. So I added those on the inside and then stamped another one of those flowers. Okay, so that's another idea. Then you could go even further and you can use just different patterns. So I had a lot of white pieces that were embossed in different patterns, anything from snowflakes to leaves to dots, flowers, this vintage folder. So I took 3 different pieces. This one is a polka dot one from the Basics 3D embossing folder. This one is a narrow folder. I can't remember. Elegant. It's got 2 folders in the package. Elegant. I should have looked up the name. I can't remember the name. But I had a strip of that and then this vintage tile embossing folder, and I kept it white, added a little bit of silver, and doesn't that make a beautiful wedding card? I added a piece of silver glimmer, which this is our adhesive back glimmer, which is sold out. We don't carry it anymore. But again, use those scraps. Use what you have on hand. Added some ribbon and a little bit of silver twine. And these are some pearls in a different color that I had left over from a paper pumpkin kit. Again, just using what I have and trying to use some of that stuff up. So beautiful wedding card. On the inside, I just had an extra strip of that. Elegant edges. I don't know. You know what? I will have a look. Actually, you know what? Catalog is right here. Let me look it up because I'm pretty sure it's still current. Okay, let's go back to the embossing folders. It is this one, Elegant Eucalyptus. So I had this bottom embossing folder that I had a strip of that, so I just cut that up and used it. So I used that one. I used the Basics 3D. That's where the polka dot came from, which is an online exclusive. And then I used the vintage, I think it's called Vintage Tile, which is from the holiday catalog or the fall catalog, the September to December, but it is carried over. So it is still available and you can find it in the online exclusive section. Okay, now next card that we're gonna make is again using strips. So this time we're gonna use that Be Mine DSP, which if you guys have been following me lately, I've been using this paper a ton. I've used it so much. Okay, and we're starting again, I believe this is still the same size, 3 3/4 by 5. So we're using that same size again, but this time I cut all my strips the same size. So there's no variation in size. They're all 1/2 inch. Okay, and I chose different patterns. So I'm going to stick with 3 different patterns. I've got this Sweet Sorbet one that has the flight path. I've got this one with the white flowers, and then I've got the yellow plaid pattern. We're sticking with those 3 patterns, and we're going to create a pattern on here. So instead of just using strips across, we're going to do something a little bit different. Okay, so I'm going to start with my longest piece, and I'm going to add adhesive. I don't need to add adhesive all the way down. And we're going to put it, let's do it about like this. So it's not going to go all the way across, or all the way, yeah, all the way across. It's just going to go part way across. And then we'll do this one. And this one's going to go down the side, right beside it. So it's going to line up right here. And then we'll use this 3rd pattern. Just like that. Okay, so that's the first bit of pattern that we're going to add. Then I'm going to trim off the excess, and you can wait until the end to do this. I just want to make sure that I have enough of each of these pattern strips. Okay, now we are going to take this piece and we're going to line it up with the edge of this one. I think this is what I did. I can't remember now. Okay, actually, you know what? We're going to go this way. We're going to line it up with the edge of this one. We're going to go like that. And then we'll do a bit of yellow. So really, it doesn't matter what pattern you choose. Just pick a pattern. I think this would be really cute if it was like in a houndstooth kind of pattern as well. Okay, we need some of that red. That's gonna go here. Like that. All right, and then, now I'm doing this differently than I did last time. Now I'm all confused. Okay, now we are going to take, we're gonna take this one, we're gonna put this one here. And then we'll do this guy. No, we want to do this one first. So again, I'm leaving a little bit of space in between, and then we can do this one. And then we're going to go this way. I need to trim these so that I have some more patterns to choose from. Okay. All right, so where was I working here? I was working on this little bit here. Okay, so now we're going to use the floral one. Let's find a florally one. Okay, and this we're going to cut a straight edge because we always want to start with a straight edge, and it needs a little bit more adhesive on it. Hopefully it's long enough. Seems to be a little crooked here. Okay, I think that's my cutting. All right, so we've got that, and then we'll do a little bit of this one. So we're doing 3, and then we're going to rotate direction. So then this guy's going to go this way. And I've got a tiny little bit there that needs to be filled in, but I can fill that in afterwards. All right, now this one. Feel like we're gonna go this way. That feels like it's going, no, I think we're gonna go this way. A lot of this is gonna get covered over with my embellishment, so I'm not too concerned. Okay, let's do a little bit of that red floral. Some sticky cardstock attached to my scissors here. I probably should have started this. This is taking a lot longer than I thought. And then we'll do this one, so 3. And then we're gonna go this direction. Let's use the floral one. Okay, we need to cut this. We're going to use this guy, trim a straight edge. And we'll line it up. Let's line it up with this. No, we'll line it up with this one. Trim it off. Make it straight. And then we'll do a little bit of yellow. Add this on here. Okay, and then we need to do this one. So we'll start with some yellow. Going this way. And then we'll do this one. This would make a fun background for, or strip down the side of a scrapbook layout as well. Either this one or even the first idea that I shared. Not much thought is involved in that first one that I shared, whereas you need to think about this one a little bit more. We'll pop that on there, and then we can trim off the edges. This is a little long. Let's trim this. Okay, so trim these down. I prefer to use my scissors over my paper cutter with this because if there is adhesive on it, I don't want to get adhesive on the blade of my paper trimmer. It's much easier to clean the blade of your scissors than it is the blades on your paper trimmer. Okay, I think there was one more spot that I needed to fill in. Actually, no, I think I'm good. This one is so tiny that I don't think it's necessary. All right, so we've got our background. So you can see that that looks a little bit different than just doing, you can tell that it's got a little bit more of a fun pattern compared to just the strips going across. And you could get super creative with the pattern that you choose. Okay, so now I've got a piece of white that has been cut with the perennial postage dies. So I used these dies here from the mini catalog, and I used this rectangular shape here. So I cut that from some white cardstock, and then I cut a piece of black that was just slightly larger. You can find all the measurements over in today's blog post once it goes live. And I'm going to use a stamp set. This is another celebration offering. I have not inked this one up yet, or I hadn't before I created this card. So I decided to pull this out and play with it because I think it's super fun. So we're going to add a leaf and some watermelon, or a watermelon. So I've got Garden Green ink, and I'm going to use the leaf image. And I'm going to stamp it kind of in the corner. And then I'm going to ink up the watermelon with some sweet sorbet. Got a little bit of ink on that side. So we'll we'll do that there. I'll keep that out because I'm gonna add one to the inside of my card as well. And then the rind, is that what it's called? The rind on your watermelon? Just gonna add that on here. And then bring in some black and add the seeds. And then while I've got my black out, I'm also going to ink up the word hello. That is from that same greeting set, the Heartfelt Hellos greeting set that I used on the last card. And I'm just going to stamp that on a scrap of white. Okay, and we're going to bring in our card base so that we can stamp on the inside before we put all these inks away. So I'm just going to ink up my watermelon. Pop it in the corner here, and I love the variation in color on that. I love that it's not just a solid color. Makes it look more realistic. And then our rind. And then our seeds. Okay, I'm gonna put all these ink pads away. Okay, and we'll bring in we'll fold our card in half. I have a bone folder here somewhere. Here we go. Oh, you know what I did? Our card is going sideways and I stamped my watermelon going this way. Okay, well, we'll figure out a solution. Let's just keep working on our card. Okay, so I noticed there's a little tiny bit hanging off the edge here. There's always a creative solution to when you make mistakes. Okay, so I'm going to add this to the center of my white card base. And then we're going to take this piece and add it to our black. And then our black is going to get popped up using dimensionals. So I'm just going to center that on there, add dimensionals to the back of this. And then this is going to go in the lower right-hand corner. You can also put it in the center. Actually, you know what? Let's put this one in the center and we'll see what this one looks like in the center. Okay, and then I've got, I think this is a given, baker's twine, like a little bit of black baker's twine. We're going to add that right on here. So I just add a little bit of glue and then pop that on there. And then what I did was I fussy cut, let's just move these out of the way here. I fussy cut the word hello and my watermelon. So I've got those two bits and we are gonna pop, actually we're gonna add our watermelon first. We're gonna pop this up using dimensionals. So just grab a couple of these. I'll add this on here like this. Hanging off the edge, and then I'm going to use some mini dimensionals. For our word hello. And this is going to go right here. Like that. And I felt like it still needed something else. So I'm bringing in my black Stampin' Write marker and I'm just going to add some little trios of dots. You guys have seen me do this before. I really love what it adds to a project. So it's just a subtle little addition. So cute. Okay, so let's have a look in here. The watermelon looks fine like that, but you know what I think I'm gonna do? Since I've got this watermelon, I'm gonna fussy cut this. And these are really easy to fussy cut. Doesn't take long at all. And I'm gonna add this to the inside of the card just in a different direction. So I think I'll just add it like that over top. And then it will look like it was intentionally stamped in that direction. I mean, not that it looks bad going that way. It doesn't, it looks fine. There we go. So now we've got a cute little hello watermelon card. So that's the one where it's done in the middle that we just created. And then here is one where I did it kind of off to the side. And I did have some strips of that pattern paper left. So I do have some of these left here too. So we could add, let's do that. Let's use up some of these. Let's add a strip of this along the top and the inside here. So now after this crafting session, these little narrow strips that I have left over that I've kind of just been pushing to the side, I will toss those. I won't put those back into my bin or into my package. Those little strips I will end up getting rid of. There we go. Okay, so there is another idea. There are so many other ideas that you could do using strips, but here are the ones that I shared today. So just going straight across using a variety of patterns and then mixing your pattern with embossed cardstock scraps. And then this one is using just embossed cardstock scraps for that. It's kind of an elegant look. I think part of it has to do with it being white. I think if I had done it with the crumb cake, I think it would have looked a little, not quite as fancy, but I love how that looks. Let's see here. Betty asked, I'm wondering if the watermelon rind sticks out further because you are supposed to leave a small white space between the red and the green. It could be, it could also be because it's meant to work with both of these, and I think this one is a little bit bigger. So that could be as well. So you're right, because on like a watermelon, there is that white space, right? All right, so hopefully this inspires you to pull out some of your scraps this weekend so that you can kind of play with them, get creative. And if you come up with some ideas or use these ideas as inspiration, make sure that you tag me if you share photos online. I would love to see what you guys are making. All right. I will include a full supply list in the description. If there's anything that you saw today that you would like to order, feel free to order from my online store. I always appreciate your orders. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you next week and have a fabulous weekend. Take care, guys.